just less than a month before the beginning of the World Cup in Russia. The closer it gets, the more evident it becomes that Russia is not just completely ready for it, but ready to surprise the entire world with an event that is supposed to be even more successful than the Olympics in Sochi.
The level of commitment, of dedication and of professionalism that I have seen in the organization of this World Cup is unique. What is done for the security and for the fans is absolutely unique as well. Russia is absolutely ready to host the world, to celebrate a summer of festivities here in this beautiful country.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Nevertheless, the world has witnessed how the Russians are facing a new escalating of negative information campaign against the forthcoming football championship.
Мы не можем оставить без комментария столь ангажированные переживания, эмоции представителей и политэстеблишмента и средств массовой информации ряда западных стран относительно подготовки к чемпионату мира по футболу в России. Еще не успели отгреметь страсти по поводу проведения Олимпийских игр в Сочи. Вот сейчас история повторяется. Будут разные отыгрываться треки, точно так же неготовность объектов, недружелюбность, непрофессионализм организаторов. Набирает обороты тема запугивания любителей футбола ужасами, с которыми могут столкнуться у нас в стране в связи с якобы агрессивными, фанатичными, как там писалось, молодчиками, которые готовы растерзать иностранных футбольных болельщиков.
The Russians have repeatedly warned that the Western politicians and mass media will conduct a full-scale mega-campaign to discredit Russia as the host country. As expected, a special role is played by Great Britain, which still cannot stand the fact that the Russia beat it fair and square. Thus, the British mass media has been promptly amplifying the calls to boycott the World Cup. By all indications, the reason has been an alleged attempt of the Russians to take out the former double spice cripple. Something like this should have happened just prior to the championship. It is clear that the British Secret Services has been preparing the case well in advance.
Nobody fucks with the Jesus.
The British authorities were promoting the idea of relocating the World Cup to England long before the Skripal case, since they claim that the Russians won the bid through corruption.
They caused an explosion. Is this true?
Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
In fact, such proposals were later expressed not only by the biased mass media, but first by the loose-tongued official London, Boris Johnson and Theresa May, not to mention parliamentaries such as Tom Tugendhat and Stephen Kinnock.
Does the Prime Minister share my concern, though, that holding the World Cup in Russia this summer could be perceived as a global vindication of Mr. Putin's regime? And if so, would she be making representations to FIFA to explore the possibility of postponing the World Cup until 2019 and holding it in a more appropriate host country or countries?
They were yelling their guts out to unite the largest possible number of countries to withstand the Russian barbarians and boycott the World Cup. However, it turned out that their total number was only 6.
I am a god, you dumb creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
In addition, this was despite the fact that some Western mass media and national leaders had been directly inciting or even compelling to boycott, as was the case with Iceland. By the way, the German mass media is doing the same bidding. The Bill's chief editor, Julian Reichelt, developed his propaganda on the pages of the British Daily Mail so that he drew a parallel between the World Cup 2018 and the infamous Olympics in Berlin in 1936.
I think that your characterization of what is going to happen in Moscow, in the World Cup, or in all venues, yes, I think the comparison with 1936 is certainly right.
Hello? Hello? Anybody home?
When a tabloid newspaper talks rubbish, it's okay. However, when the officials dwindle to the level of tabloid rumors, that is saying something.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
The Australian authorities, which has always been supporting all the British undertakings, issued recommendations for Australian tourists who are going to visit the World Cup in Russia to be careful. The Deputy Prime Minister Michael McCormack proposed to think twice before going to Russia or not to go at all.
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
The most interesting issue is that British initiatives to boycott the World Cup find no support by the countries which are not known for love to Russia.
Well, nobody's perfect.
Australia decided not to support the Britain-initiated boycott. The ex-England defender Sol Campbell claimed politicians have always used the power of sport as propaganda in their own interests. People have used sport and football to control people's minds and further their powers. Hitler, Franco and Mussolini used it. It is in history. It's not going to change. Football is a powerful thing. I've been invited by FIFA, so I'm going to go and do a bet with them.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Vice President of the German party FDP and Bundestag Vice President Wolfgang Kubicki has commented the information on the possible boycott of the World Cup 2018. I think nothing of the boycott of the World Cup. If the British do not want to go to Russia because they have no chance in the football tournament, then please. The head of the Poland Football Union, Zbigniew Boniek, was not favorable to the Britain's idea too, and said that the Poland would take part.
Yes, it's all coming back now. Yes, I remember.
And yet, what's so scary about the World Cup in Russia for the West and Britain in particular, that they are struggling for the boycott? The answer is very simple. This is not in need of a just retaliation to the Russian barbarians for all the evil actions against the Western civilization.
What are you doing? I am trying to find out where they keep their money.
The thing is that when thousands of ordinary mortals from all over the world come to Russia and visit many Russian cities in the Crimea, Far East and Siberia, they will see with their own eyes a very friendly and innovative nation and country. There will be a dissonance between the rubbish they are fed by their politicians and mass media and what really Russia is.
It's been emotional.
They will understand what the Western propaganda about the aggressive and atrocious Russia is worth. This is death for the Western powers that be. How will they explain to the taxpayers these huge military budgets and blaming the Russians for the alleged sponsoring of terrorism? Moreover, the theory of the Russia's interference with the Western elections will fall apart. The citizens of the Western states may say that this is not the Russians, but them who live in a totalitarian regimes and are required to change their authorities. The one thing is clear, that despite all the calls and actions, the West will bring no chance to spoil the forthcoming football fiesta in Russia, since the matches have been almost sold out and the football lovers from all over the world are excited about the World Cup in Russia.